We are 111 subscribers as of filming this on our live show today from 211,000 subscribers. So hit that sub button if you haven't already. Get more free Cowboys YouTube videos each and every single day and on a pretty consistent basis multiple times per day. Let's talk free agency here, then we'll talk a trade item. A to Z Sports suggesting the Cowboys should consider bringing back Tyron Smith as an insurance policy. The pitch here was more, hey, Smith can still play. He's old. He shouldn't be as expensive. Is he willing to come be the, veteran backup guy that goes if Guyton or Terrence Steele, frankly, struggle and gets to come back home to Dallas for one more year? Tyron Smith was playing decently before he got hurt. It's not the same best left tackle in football, Tyron Smith, anymore. I think he's still a serviceable football player. I think there are also just general question marks about how much more Tyron Smith truly has left in the tank, how much more he wants to try to get out of said tank as well. But the Cowboys' plan to tackle are very clear right now. Tyler Guyton's there at left tackle. Terrence Steele is there at right tackle. The backup options are awesome. Richards, who hasn't done much on the right side. Matt Waletzko, who kind of just feels like is just hanging around as a draft pick more or less. Earl Bostic as a UDFA. Adding a veteran like Tyron Smith would give you a significant upgrade, at minimum, at the backup spot. Not to mention you could always pivot to him if you had to, if Guyton struggles or Terrence Steele goes down or Guyton goes down, since we did see Tyron Smith in Dallas get some more run on the right side. Although at his age, I do worry about flipping sides constantly. I think that's a little bit dangerous. So would you bring back Tyron Smith? This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad happens to come here on YouTube, just fine. Take advantage of it. Head down there. Y for yes, N for no. The idea of adding Tyron Smith back to the Cowboys does intrigue me, at least a little bit. The role and the money, though, would have to be very different from the last time he was here, but I am open to it. I don't think you're signing him with the promise of you are the starting left tackle no matter what. It's the, hey, we'll bring you in, you get to come back home, it's competition, it's veteran insurance, it's an addition of you're adding better talent to the depth chart, right? The biggest question there for me then, does Tyron Smith want that? Does Tyron Smith at his age want to play on a pretty cheap contract, given the way his body has failed him over the years, and not be guaranteed a starting spot? You often see players of this type retire or wait until July, August to sign somewhere because they don't want to have to, at this point in their careers, go compete for a backup job or something. I'll also say this, though. Is there a better mentor for Tyler Guyton out there? I kind of don't think so. I think that'd be great for Guyton to have someone who knows how to handle all of this. Now, he was back in the building for Zach Martin's retirement. So I don't think there's a bunch of bad blood. I always want to acknowledge that when there's, reunions and whatnot there too. As mentioned too, this could also be a post-draft move. And that also might work for a different team, not in the Dallas Cowboys. They might say, we're not going to bring in right now, Tyron. The Cowboys can keep their comp pick powder dry since you don't want to lose out on a comp pick by signing Tyron Smith to a 1-year 5 deal or something. And maybe revisit after the draft coming up in April. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the best place to get real money sports action, especially with March and all of its madness underway. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. That does include, by the way, college basketball as well, but also football. Season-long PrizePicks slates are available. I don't like the more thans. I like this less than combination, though. Jared Goff on the passing yards, Travis Kelce receiving, Jaden Daniels on the running yards. Go download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's go to Stefan Diggs. He is set to visit with the New England Patriots, and after what has been pretty limited buzz around the former Bills and Vikings and Texans wide receiver, Diggs was off to a decent start last year before he tore his ACL. And you don't see nearly as many visits these days for free agents as you used to. This is probably going to be, at least in part, a medical check on Stefon Diggs. The seemingly lack of interest in Diggs, I do think, could be explained by what Todd Archer recently put in an article with ESPN. Where will they find a receiver? They looked at the veterans available, but injury and cost dimmed their pursuit. A trade for one remains possible, as does drafting one, possibly even in the first round. We will come back more in depth to the trade angle on a future video, so just kind of stash that one and remember it for later. But I think in particular, doesn't injury and cost certainly sound like it applies to Diggs? It's coming off an ACL. I think a lot of us got burned last time they signed a player coming off torn ACL. I don't know if that's a path that this team really wants to go pursue, nor should they. They have the obvious built-in connection with Trayvon Diggs. I know there has been frustration from the Cowboys side with how Diggs attacked his rehab. You think if things were close, you could use Trayvon as a leverage point to get Stefon to come, but they haven't really shown a lot of interest on that front. Been pretty quiet. And by the way, also worth mentioning, anything above $3.5 million per year-ish is currently slated to count against the comp pick formula, which means Dallas would lose a fifth-round pick. They probably don't want to do that. But they do need another wide receiver. You can't enter week one with the plan of Lamb, Tolbert, Turpin, Mingo, Brooks, Flournoy, everyone else. That's not a real group, and that's not a realistic plan at wide receiver when you got to get more help there. Who it is, we'll see. I think draft makes the most sense, but I don't think there's any intent to just roll with this group again. So how do you think the Cowboys end up getting wide receiver help? I do love this weigh-in. Someone's like, you think you're being clever? I'm like, I did it on purpose. Anyway, how do the Cowboys get wide receiver help? D for draft, T for trade, F for free agency. We have a trade rumor to discuss directly from ESPN. They linked the Cowboys to a potential trade for Patriots backup quarterback Joe Milton. This is what Jeremy Fowler of ESPN said. Joe Milton, this is a really interesting name in the quarterback carousel we're talking about because he has trade interest. The Patriots are exploring a trade. I'm told several teams are interested. One team to potentially watch for is the Dallas Cowboys, because looking for a good backup, a young backup with upside they may not get in the draft. Maybe they get in a trade. I hate when media does this. I can't stand this type of stuff. This is not reporting that the Dallas Cowboys have interest in Joe Milton. That is not what Jeremy Fowler said. He said, well, potentially they've got interest. Maybe they have a backup quarterback need. That's all that is. That's saying, well, they could make sense. But it ends up getting spun by aggregators into Cowboys have interest in Joe Milton. That's not what was reported. That's not what was said. Only the Cowboys get hyped for a backup QB. Like, man, you got to get they need a backup. Let's talk about Quinn Ewers on national media. This is so clearly a link the Cowboys to drive up the market play. Happens all the time to guys that don't end up in Dallas, by the way. It's frustrating. Look, Joe Milton has great size. He's got great athletic ability. He had a very good performance in the final game of the season against a Bills team that actively was not trying, and it seemed like they actually wanted to lose on purpose, and he was actually terrible in the preseason. This is not a typo. He completed under 37% of his passes in the preseason. He was a massive project at Tennessee. Don't let the most obvious Matt Flynn 2.0 game fool anybody. I have no desire to trade for Joe Milton with what the Patriots reportedly want, which is a third-round pick. I'm not doing that. They want one of my fives? Sure. It's a 5th-round pick. That doesn't matter to me. But going down the route of a 3rd for Joe Milton, no, he's not actually all that good.